Hello and welcome to Weekly MTG. I'm your host, Blake Rasmussen, and it's just me on the screen today. Because what we are doing is we are going to recap the announcements we had at New York City Comic Con around Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. That means if you missed the announcement this past weekend, we're going to recap all of that. We are going to show off the cards, products, all of that stuff. There's not going to be any new cards or products or any real new information about the set. There may be some clarifying things I do here and there. We've seen some confusion on a couple things. I'll talk a little bit about set size towards the end, and we'll talk about the commander decks. But by and large, if you followed along or were lucky enough to be at New York Comic Con this past weekend, a lot of this is going to be info you've already seen. But otherwise, hang out. We'll chat, we'll run through all the cool stuff we revealed, and we'll get right to it. For me, before I dive into it, I'm super excited about this. I was born in 1982, so this is like right in my wheelhouse. I have Ninja Turtles lining the top of my garage. They just reissued the movie star versions of the Turtles, and I went out and got all of them. So I'm a huge fan, so if I gush a little bit, now you know why. I'm currently reading The Last Ronin even. Okay, but let's dive into the recap. So we're going to start with the commander decks. We saw this question in chat. Yes, there are commander decks for Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. We talked mostly about this specific deck, Turtle Power. So this is using a bit of a different take on commanders, going with interchangeable commanders. The face commander, and this is one of those things we want to declare. The face commander is our first card, which is Leonardo. So the deck is built to take advantage of Leonardo the Balance, being one of your two partner character select commanders, and then selecting someone else from the Ninja Turtles or Splinter as the secondary. So I'll also point out here, the deck is built around +1/+1 counters and mutagen. So Leonardo, of course, does both. Whenever a token you control enters, so mutagen tokens, which we'll show in a moment, are going to be entering quite often in this deck. You may put a +1/+1 counter on each creature you control. Do this only once each turn. And then you can give them a bunch of keywords. Now let's take a look at how you get some of those mutagen tokens with our next card, Donatello the Brains. So Donatello will always help you create a mutagen token alongside any other tokens. Now let's show that mutagen token as well. So like most of these tokens, like food or blood or anything like that, mutagen has a pretty simple effect. Sacrifice it, pay a mana, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature, activate only as a sorcery, so that the counters, the tokens, it's all going to work together and synergize in the deck. Next up, we have Raphael. Raphael the Muscle. Damages or doubles all damage creatures you control with counters on them, and when it enters, create a mutagen token. Moving on through the turtles, Michelangelo, objectively the most fun turtle. The Heart. I also love Raid. Raid is an ability that Magic has had for a bit, and Raid the Fridge. It's a fun little flavor nod here. At the beginning of your second main phase, if you attack this turn, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature and create a food token. Depending on who your partner is, that can do a little bit more than just that. All right, next up, we have Master Splinter. Splinter, the Mentor. And again, whenever Splinter or another non-token creature you control leaves the battlefield, create a mutagen token. So going to, again, be working with that tokens and +1/+1 flavor. So that is what that deck looks like. Again, I want to... one of the things I wanted to clarify is this deck really is built to have Leonardo as the face, joined, and of course, Leonardo leads. Donatello does machines. I'm really going to try not to sing that song throughout this entire show. But the secondary character is going to be one that you choose. We're going to talk about, there is a, we call them secondary commanders. We're going to get to Heroes in a Half Shell a little bit later, and we'll talk about that cards placed in the deck. I talked with the deck's designer, Melissa DeTora, a little bit about that card specifically. But now let's move on to one of the coolest things about this set, which is the headliner card. We have Leonardo, Sewer Samurai, illustrated by none other than Kevin Eastman. Now, if you are somehow only familiar with the cartoons or the movies, Eastman was one of the original creators of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles comic way back when. And so to have him illustrate this card with his signature there and that little shredder scribble on there too, really something cool, really something special. Super amazing. So we're going to then take a look at the main set art for Leonardo Sewer Samurai. Magic artist Ryan Pancoast with his look. And let's take a look at the card and talk a little bit about the ability. So it's a 3/3 with double strike and sneak, which we'll talk about in a moment. During your turn, you may cast creature spells with power or toughness 1 or less from your graveyard. If you cast it this way, the creature enters with a finality counter on it. I love the samurai gear on Leonardo as well. Let's take a look at what Sneak is. So Sneak, you may cast the spell for the cost. If you also return unblocked attacker you control to hand during the declare blocker step, it enters tapped and attacking. If this sounds a bit familiar, that's because it is an evolution of ninjutsu. So ninjutsu, very cool, very flavorful ability with some timing issues that Sneak cleans up. But one of the cool things that Sneak allows, that ninjutsu did not, is to put this ability on spells. So let's take a look at our next card. So this is an example. So Raphael's technique, each player may discard their hand and draw 7 cards. That Sneak is just the cost of Wheel of Fortune. This is something that ninjutsu did not allow. Ninjutsu was an activated ability rather than casting a spell, and it just put the creature into play, so you couldn't put this ability on spells, or you couldn't put ninjutsu on spells. Sneak, you can. And so you've got Raphael's technique here, a really powerful draw 7 spell if you return a creature that is tapped and attacking to your hand. Very cool card here. All right, now, this card is hilarious with Mayhem costs. There is a lot of cool stuff that you can do with this spell. Does the creature come in attacking if you sneak it in? Yes, it does. All right, let's go into the villains. Now, we, of course, have all of the iconic villains in this set, starting with the 2 most iconic. We have Krang and Shredder. Here you're seeing the art for Krang and Shredder. Of course, Krang and Shredder are often teamed up and work together, but they're also getting some individual cards. So let's take a look at Krang Mastermind. This is an artifact creature with affinity for artifacts. Not something we see very often in Standard, but we've seen a little bit of it here and there. With Krang enters, if you have fewer than 4 cards in hand, draw cards equal to the difference, and it gets +1/+0 for each other artifact you control. This card is going to be strong. It's going to be strong in certainly older formats that have a lot more zero-cost artifacts, but it is possible that this sees some play in Standard as well. We're building towards some artifact decks here. A card that's certainly going to see some play is Super Shredder. Again, if you grew up with the movies, if you grew up with the cartoons, Super Shredder loomed large over all of that. It was a really cool evolution of Shredder. Here, this card's real powerful. It looks really innocuous. But whenever another permanent leaves the battlefield, put a +1/+1 counter on Super Shredder. That includes Treasure, It includes any lands that you might sacrifice. It includes tokens of any kind. Anything leaving the battlefield, whether it's yours or your opponent's. So this thing is going to get big fast. Also going to be strong in older formats, but also going to be really strong in standard as well. You know, it starts out as a 1-1 with Menace. It's not going to stay a 1-1 for very long. All right. Next up, another classic duo here, Bebop and Rocksteady. I may have just purchased a Rocksteady retro figure from a toy store, but you never know. So Bebop and Rocksteady were, these were from the comics and some of the original cartoons. Two really classic villains here. And I also love that we have a giant creature with a drawback. Whenever they attack or block, you have to sacrifice a permanent unless you discard a card. But it's a 7/5 for 3 mana. Absolutely huge. Yeah. Oh, yeah. A lot of people chiming in on the different ways Super Shredder goes big. Warp cards, Mono Black Sacrifice, Blink. If you're playing Commander and an opponent dies while you have Super Shredder out, all of the permanents leave the battlefield. It's fantastic. All right, yep, Bebop and Rocksteady, very similar to cards like Rotting Regisaur, and can do a lot of cool things. All right, there's a lot more characters to go through, so let's take a look at our next card, April O'Neil, Hacktivist. April O'Neil, of course, started out in the comics as a research assistant for Baxter Stockman. Wasn't always a reporter. And so this is sort of the modern updated take on what April's up to, still wearing that classic yellow jumpsuit. At the beginning of your end step, draw a card for each card type among spells you've cast this turn. Again, a really powerful draw engine. And notice that it's spells you've cast, which means this does work with Sneak, where it would not have worked with Ninjutsu before. All right, let's take a look at another human on the Turtles side. Casey Jones, Jury Rig Justiciar. Human Berserker, 2/1, haste, very red creature. When Casey Jones enters, look at the top 4 cards of your library. You reveal an artifact card from among them, put them into your hand. Put the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. Really strong, quick card here. Going to be great for red aggressive decks, especially if they have artifacts in them. Yeah, it might be a shirt on April. Either way, it's yellow. It's yellow. All right. Oh, I see that Blake has not talked about the size of this set yet. I will do so at the end. So sit tight. We'll talk a little bit about the set size. I'll answer what questions I can. We are still pretty early on. Next up, we've got a few fantastic pieces of art. So we've got art for Splinter, Hamato Yoshi here. I love the mousers destroyed all around him while he's enjoying some tea. Next up, we have The Last Ronin's Technique. This one's actually a little bit spoilery for The Last Ronin. If you haven't read it yet, a little bit, maybe. You can make some things out from the art. But yeah, The Last Ronin, if you are not aware, is a really cool comic that sort of imagines the world if one turtle is left over years after the Foot Clan takes over and what happens from there. All right. All right, next up we have Jenika's Technique. I'll be interested to see what this card does. I actually don't know. All right, next up, a card that has been much discussed is Heroes in a Half Shell. So this is 5 colors: Vigilance, Menace, Trample, Haste. Whenever one or more mutants, ninjas, and or turtles you control deal combat damage to a player, put a +1/+1 counter on each of those creatures and draw a card. All right, so I talked to Melissa DeTora about this card. So this is a secondary commander in the Turtles commander deck. And the purpose of this card is not to just have sort of a keyword soup, 5-color sort of deal, but it's to give a lower complexity card for players who just want to jam their turtles and splinters and not worry too much about synergy. You just want to have a card or a deck with a bunch of cool cards in it, and you want to have all 5. This does that at a lower complexity. Now the deck is actually built, again, intending to have Leonardo as the face card and then selecting one of the other turtles or Splinter as the second commander, since they have partner character select. All right, next up, a really amazing card with even better artwork. Let's see, Turtles Forever. See around the Multiverse Bros, one Leonardo or another. Like, I don't even need to read what this, it's so cool. It's taking the Donatello from the movie. We've got Raphael from the original cartoon. Each of the characters pulled from a different part of the Turtles timeline. And then it allows you to search your library or outside the game for exactly 4 legendary creature cards you own with different names. Then reveal those cards. An opponent chooses 2 of them, put the chosen cards into your hand, shuffle the rest into your library. You know, this can get you, I mean, it can do a lot of cool things. Gifts Ungiven does some pretty wacky things. So picking out 4 legendary creature cards, I'm really interested in seeing the Turtles Forever piles that people are going to come up with. But of course, you can always just do the flavorful thing and pick up Leonardo, Donatello, Raphael, and Michelangelo. But yeah, I love this art. It's one of my favorite pieces of art. I do see people are putting some questions in chat. I'm going to get to those at the end after we dive through everything that we talked about in New York. All right, next up is a really cool, unique product called the Turtle Team Up. So this is a new 2 to 4 player co-op game mode. So you're going to be playing. So if you've been around for a while, we've had some things sort of like this, where you team up against a boss, and we're going to show some boss cards here. So the whole concept of this is you are the Turtles, and you are fighting against some of the many bosses that the Turtles have encountered over the years. So let's take a look at some of the cards in this product. Note that these are Eternal legal, and not legal in all formats as we go through. So same legality as Commander legality. Let's take a look at our first one, Leonardo, Worldly Warrior. This spell costs 1 less to cast for each creature you control, and it has double strike. Then we have Donatello, Rad Scientist, 6 mana for a 5/6 Vigilant creature. When Donatello enters, tap up to 3 target creatures your opponents control. Put a stun counter on each of them. And again, all of these cards are designed with this co-op team-up product in mind. So you're going to be using these with one or several teammates. So they're all designed with that sort of play experience in mind. But of course, you can play these in your commander decks. Next, we have Raphael. I absolutely love this card, mostly for the art. If you catch it, this is a reference to the first live-action movie. And it is also, as I understand it, Undercover Raphael is one of the most sought-after collectible toys. And so getting around this card is also really cool. But here in gameplay, Raphael Tag Team Tough is a 6 mana 5/6 with Menace. Of course, Raphael has Menace. Whenever Raphael deals combat damage to a player for the first time each turn, Untap all attacking creatures. After this combat phase, there's an additional combat phase. How about a 5-minute game misconduct for Roughing Pal? Love it. Yeah, flavor text is great. You do need to know what a crumpet is to understand cricket. Thank you. All right, next up, we got fellow fans in the chat. Love it. All right, next up, let's see Michelangelo on the scene. Also 6 mana for a 2/2 Trampler. It looks small, but Michelangelo enters with a +1/+1 counter for each land you control. So let's be generous and say you have a little acceleration, and maybe it's 5 lands. Then this comes in as a 7/7, or possibly bigger. Whenever Michelangelo dies, return this card to your hand. So it's just going to keep coming back. All right, next up we have Donnie and April, adorable duo. When they enter, choose one or both. Each mode must target a different player. So again, this is where you're going to see some designs in this product that are built around two-headed giant. So target player draws 2 cards. Target player returns an artifact, instant, or sorcery card from their graveyard to your hand. So this is going to be a card that you're going to use to help both you and your teammate try to take on the bosses. Speaking of the bosses, let's take a look at the bosses. So here's Krang, Dimension X Overlord. So the boss plays an additional card each turn. At the start of the boss turn, the bosses lose 2 life. Of course, when we get closer to release, we'll learn some more specifics about how the rules on all of these work. But again, if you've played the Nicol Bolas Archenemy, or some of the Scheme decks, or some of the other products that we've had in the past, this is going to have some similarities to those. All right, next up, let's see Shredder, Foot Clan Overlord. Bury my shell at Wounded Knee, great reference. All right, Shredder, Foot Clan Overlord. It's a boss. Whenever a creature the boss's control dies, the heroes lose 1 life. This flavor text also is fantastic. There is undoubtedly a fascinating story on how my old nemesis came to teach ninjutsu to 4 mutant turtles. Perhaps I will let one of you live long enough to tell it. All right. Then we have Rat King, the Chaos Bringer. I definitely had this toy when I was a kid, and it freaked me out, but was so cool. All right. Ninjas the boss's control have Death Touch. And the chaos and the cracks, the vermin and the shadows, everything fears me, everything except the rats. And then our 4th boss we're showing off. Let's see if I can even pronounce this. Baxter, Experimental Scientist. Creatures named Foot Disciple have flying. You'll learn more about what creatures named Foot Disciple do later. Baxter Stockman. Love him here. All right. Now let's take a look at some product shots real quick, just so that you can see what packaging is going to look like. So here are the play boosters. There's going to be 3 different booster wraps. Love the art in this set. Then we get the pre-release pack. Turtles coming out of the sewer. There's, of course, going to be a bundle right here. Turtles fighting off the Foot Clan. Bebop and Rocksteady. April O'Neil reporting. And then we've got Draft Night. So Draft Night, if you're not familiar, this is a product we announced just in Atlanta. So Draft Night is going to be something we put out with every set, starting with Lorwyn Eclipsed. And it's everything you need for a night of 4-player drafting. So it's going to be enough play boosters, a collector booster for prizes, enough lands to play, and it's just going to be like a draft in a box for a 4-player, a pick 2 draft in a box. So yeah, That's going to continue with Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. And then, of course, we have the collector booster. Shredder on there looking so badass. All right. There's going to be one more product we talk about in a second, but before we do that, borderless source material cards. So this is something we've been doing with Universes Beyond. So our next card is one of 20 borderless source material cards. So this is Doubling Season, featuring that early art from Kevin Eastman, showing off the Turtles in the original comics. Really cool. So there's, again, there's going to be 20 of these. And then Pizza Lands. It's pizza with mana symbols. And then, so with Universes Beyond sets, we always often do a special bundle of some kind. And sticking with the pizza theme, the pizza bundle shown here is, again, this feels like my childhood. It includes collector booster, and it's going to include some special cards that are reprints of older cards featuring pizza flavored art. Ironic that I stumbled over that, including this Dark Ritual promo. There we go. All right, and that is everything we revealed at New York Comic Con. I will take questions. Now, keep in mind, I'm going to probably say either we can't talk about that yet or that information hasn't been revealed yet to a lot of questions simply because that information hasn't been revealed yet. The reason we're recapping today, which we don't normally do, is that Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles was a kind of first for us. We tried something a little bit new. Often we'll announce a set, and then quite some time later, we'll have the first look. Like we did in Atlanta, we announced most of 2026. With this set, we tried combining the announcement and the first look into one beat to try to have fewer moments where we're bombarding you all with information. And we wanted to make sure that we hit that information again. So I will try to clarify some things and talk about this awesome set. I'll go to a question I saw in chat, which is talking about the size of this set. So, and I'll kind of dovetail that into talking about the sizes of sets generally. So, this set is going to have 190 main set cards. That is in addition to the commander cards. So there are going to be 6 new face cards, 37 new other cards in the commander product, and then there's those 20 source material cards. 190 main set cards is slightly bigger than Marvel's Spider-Man. This set was designed from the get-go to be this size, and I want to talk a little bit about set size since there's been so much discussion in this space. And there's been a lot of discussion of having 7 sets in a year, what that means for standard, and all that. We are very aware of set size, and so we are playing a little bit with set size and trying some different things. So the total number of cards we're releasing in sets that are for all formats, so cards that enter standard first. This year in 2025, versus next year in 2026, there is a difference of fewer cards than the Turtle set. So there are going to be more cards, correct, entering standard in 2026, but not a full set's worth of more cards. And by that, I mean there's going to be about 120 cards difference. 120 cards more in 2026. We're very aware of how it works, that there are differing opinions on how many cards can enter Standard at the same time. So we very intentionally designed these sets to be, in some cases, smaller sizes or medium sizes, whereas previously we've been fairly consistent in set size. So we're playing with that set size a little bit to right size the size of Standard. Now, on that note, I also want to add there was a point in Atlanta that I think got missed by a lot of people, so I'll reiterate it here and anywhere else I can. 2026 is a bit of an anomaly with 6 sets. 2027 and beyond that we have planned so far. Plans change, but as of now, plans are 6 sets. Six. This is 6 sets total in 2027. 6 booster releases in 2027 that go into Standard. 3 Universes Beyond, 3 Magic Multiverse sets. So 2026 is a little bit wonky in that space as we're trying some things. So that's where we're at with set sizes and the number of sets being released. Let's see. Is it going to affect sizes of in-universe sets like Lorwyn Eclipse? Lorwyn Eclipse is what I'll call a typical size for one of our booster releases. It's a pretty typical size. So that's not smaller. Let's see. Oh, and it does help me as you're asking questions, as some of you have done, tagging at Magic. Thank you. Let's see. TMNT, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles will be on Arena. I have seen questions about that. Let's see. I misspoke on Commander decks, plural. It's not. It is the one Commander deck. Any reason why Shredder isn't a villain? This is a question I know pertaining to, we just released a Spider-Man set with Heroes and Villains. Heroes and Villains is not a theme for the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles set. Now, often we do have some of that crossover, but it was decided that wasn't necessary for this set. We had other creature types we wanted to explore. Also, Teenage Mutant Ninjas, Turtles. There can be a lot of creature types. Yeah. Let's see. What bundle has a personal pan pizza? Fellow child of the 80s here. None of them actually have a personal pan pizza in them. Yeah. When will we get new info on The Hobbit? We got a ways till we get to The Hobbit. We'll talk about that in 2026. Who's my favorite turtle? I'm going to be honest. It depends a bit on the depiction. I would say in the movie, the live action movies, which I grew up with, my favorite is Donatello. In the original cartoons, it was Leonardo. In the comics, it's Michelangelo. Raphael is my second favorite turtle in like all of those. I don't know that he's ever my favorite. He's always my second favorite. But let's see. Is the new release schedule still aligned with the message of making Standard more accessible for new players? Yes, we are doing a multitude of things to make Standard more accessible for new players, including things like Foundations. Don't forget that Foundations is still here. Foundations is the backbone of a lot that we're doing. We have that instant collection with Foundations beginner box. We're creating a lot of products that are meant to be on-ramps for new players. It is at the forefront of a lot of we're doing. Are you going to make Pick 2 the standard way to draft? So no. So Pick 2 is a quicker way to draft. It is a different, more interesting way to draft. Now, if you've been going to MagicCon, we've been doing lightning drafts for a while, and we found that players liked those. They were an easier way to get in a draft fast. They were a little lower intensity. You only needed 4 players, fewer packs. So especially, one of the things that differentiates drafting from a lot of other ways people play Magic is drafting casually at home doesn't happen nearly as much as playing Commander or just tabletop Magic. And we want people at home to be able to do that. But playing at home, getting 8 people together at the same time is often really a challenge. And so that's why you see these products designed for pick 2 draft, because it's a lot easier to get 4 friends together around a table. And when we talk about it, it's like, hey, you order the pizza, you bring some drinks, I'll pick up the draft set, and we'll battle. And so that's kind of the idea behind that. Of course, doing pick 2 drafts in stores is great. It's fast. You can fire off more. I'll tell a story. When I did a lot more Pro Tour coverage back in the day, I still love being around the Pro Tour, but I obviously don't do coverage anymore. But after we would do coverage all day, we would always want to draft. We saw drafts. We wanted to draft. We'd get some product. But we just wanted to draft so much. Like, playing was fun, but it was really the drafting. So we would often do what we called judge drafts, where we would draft, and then we'd pull someone over, or have someone try to be neutral and look at all the decks and just declare who has the coolest deck or who won or whatever, because we just wanted to draft and keep going. And that's a lot of the fun of drafting, is building these cool decks. Obviously, playing with them is fantastic too, but this sort of dovetails into that experience where you just want to have the experience and play and be with your friends, and getting 8 together can be challenging. So no, it's not the only way to draft. It's not gonna. We don't currently, for example, have plans for it to be like the Pro Tour draft be pick 2 draft. It is just another way to draft. All right. Let's see. Yes, I already talked about it. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles will be available on Arena. I don't have. I do see the question about Raphael using a Jitty, not Sai. I don't actually have any information on that, but that's a good thing for us to talk about down the line. Are we getting representation across all the comic TV series, or is it focused on specific eras? Oh, Turtles Forever was a really good example. There's going to be specific focuses and interpretations here and there, but really this set is a celebration of the Ninja Turtles eras throughout. So you're going to see that through art and gameplay and different references. And the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles just had their big anniversary, which again is why they re-released the movie star figures, and I got to pick those up. And so this really is the celebration of that, and that's also one of the reasons we like doing this set, is that it's very cross-generational. One of the things that's becoming really true for Magic now is you've got people my age who have kids who are teaching their kids to play Magic because it's something they love. I teach my oldest son Jace how to play. He loves playing cards, and my girls are a little young at the moment, but they like picking up the cards and looking at them. And Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles really exemplifies that. My son loves Ninja Turtles, and that's really cool, and it's ways for parents and their kids to bond, and it's ways for people to have things in common with the younger generation, and it's just beautiful. And so that's one of the reasons we're here. Yeah, Jace is a good name. Yes, my oldest son's name is Jace. Never doubt I'm a true fan. Let's see. Yes, 190 cards in this set, in the main set, plus variants and stuff, but 190 main set cards, and then the commander deck and the 20 source material cards. Let's see. I'm looking for TMNT comic covers like Spider-Man. So it's all source material that's going to vary depending on the source material. So the one we showed, the doubling season, is straight from the comics. You'll see other things like that. Right. Yeah, again, it helps. I'm trying to catch questions, but it does help if you tag at Magic at the start of your question. How many promo pizza bundle reprints available? We don't have a number for that. We don't typically release those numbers. Again, yes, this set will be on Arena. How much is the draft night box going to be? I am drawing a blank on it. I believe, don't quote me on this. I don't. You know what? I don't want to say in Atlanta. I believe what we said was that the Lorwyn Eclipsed boxes were going to be around $100, but my memory is not fully there on that one. Someone in chat said $120. Could be that. There we go. They're already for sale on Amazon, so you can see that. All right. Can you guys fix Standard? Okay, so we did release a little bit ago a statement on the state of Standard. We are going to have a BNR announcement on November 10th. There are a number of cards under consideration for Standard at that time. So we hear you. We're seeing a lot of the data, and it is certainly possible that we will take action on November 10th. All right, let's see. The bosses. Will there be only one? Will there be only one you choose from, or will there be more on the battlefield? Stay tuned for full rules. I don't have full rules today. I don't want to dip my toe into that. Let's see. Any plans to address the state of Pioneer, especially for RCQs and spotlights? We've been having a lot of internal discussions about Pioneer. Nothing specific to announce right now. Let's see. Carmen spoke at length about Vivi. You can read between the lines however you want on that. I'm just not going to make any promises about what the BNR will or will not be, but I think that article was fairly on the nose. Oh, let's see. Any cards from the live action show, The Next Mutation? Boy, I don't actually know. I don't know. Okay, so I do want to touch on some of the Universes Beyond comments briefly. And the reason I'm going to touch on it briefly is because I've just been talking to Ken Troop, who's the head of the studio, and he's itching to talk to you all. So we're actually going to have Ken Troop, the head of the studio, on the show. We are sort of planned out for the next few shows through November, because we've got Avatar The Last Airbender coming. But post Avatar The Last Airbender, we're going to have Ken Troop, the head of the studio, on the show to answer a lot of those questions, talk about how we view the Magic Multiverse and our characters and story through the card sets versus how we talk about and think about Universes Beyond. We are going to have that. You're going to want to tune in for that. We're going to get past Avatar: The Last Airbender first, which is super exciting and highly anticipated by a lot of you. So we are going to talk about that. Let's see. Will we only see mutagen tokens in this set? Kind of miss the Fallout junk tokens for TBD. We're never going to say never for future sets. But we'll see. What's for lunch today? I do not know. We get food trucks on Tuesdays, so something. Let's see. trying to follow along, and I'm trying to pick out or questions I actually can answer. I do see some questions that are good questions. I just may not have an actual answer for it. Any updates on the Netflix show at any point in the future? At some point in the future, yeah. Will we see any Pioneer events in the coming year? TBD. I don't have anything to announce today. My daughter loves pizza with cooked cucumbers on it. You know what? You do you. What toppings would you not allow on a pizza? Like, I'm going to go very turtles here. Anchovies. It's too salty for me. It's too salty. Maybe weird question, but are you guys aware of the growing pre-modern format? Are you trying to reprint heavily played cards if possible? So we're certainly aware of pre-modern. I don't think there's any strategy specifically to reprint cards into that format. It's growing. We like to keep our eyes on a lot of fan-created formats to see how we can support them. We made Tiny Leaders an official format a while back. I talk about Canadian Highlander. There it is. There's my reference on virtually every show. So, we're certainly aware of pre-modern and a number of formats like that, but I don't think there's any specific printing strategy for it. How can players track what is standard legal easily? Once upon a time, it was just the last 2 blocks and a core set. It's a great question. Arena's a great tool for it. Companion's a great tool for it. The more sets that are in the harder it is to track. Straight up. Yes, absolutely understand that. But we do live in a world now with a lot of digital tools that didn't used to exist, where you had to keep track of that sort of thing. And even in the last 2 blocks plus a core set, which it has not been that for quite some time. Even in that world, remembering what was, if you were not super enfranchised, remembering the last, what the furthest away set was, what's rotating when, that can all be a challenge of varying sorts. Many of us got used to the 2 blocks in a core set rotation, but God, there were years I couldn't tell you what was in a core set, especially reprint cards. So I'm not gonna say it's super easy, that it's right off the top of your head, but we do live in an era with a lot of digital tools that can help fill that in. Will I be at the Richmond Spotlight event for Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles? I am not currently planning to be there. Has Pioneer been abandoned as format? No, it has not. I just want to share that I love Spider-Man. The cards are amazing. The execution was just a little lacking. I look forward to everything coming out next year. Hey, love to hear the feedback. Appreciate it. Looking forward to everything coming out next year. I'm looking forward to everything coming out next year as well. There is some exciting stuff that I am chomping at the bit to share. Would you say generally the Universes Beyond sets are the smaller ones in 2026? Besides Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and Lore and Eclipse, we have not announced the set sizes. So we'll talk more about those later, but I did want to give the overall picture about the full size of the format, because I know that's been a discussion point. Any early estimates on Commander or any possible changes, game changes, ban, rules, etc.? Funny, you should. Amazing question. We're going to end on that one because next week we have 2 things happening. So next week on WeeklyMTG, my guests are going to be William Jensen, and I'm pointing over. You can't see where I'm gesturing to the couch space over here. They're gonna be over here. That doesn't matter to you. But William Jensen and Gavin Verhey, they're going to be on to each talk about 2 different things. William Jensen will be on to announce a really cool, exciting new play series. So a play announcement that's super exciting and is near and dear to his heart. And then Gavin Verhey will be on because we do have some updates coming from the Commander group. So he's going to share some updates there as well on the bracket system. So that's what we're going to be talking about next week. We're going to have those 2 fine gentlemen on. And then coming after that, the week after that, is the debut for Avatar The Last Airbender. So we are going to end on that. Thank you all for tuning in, and we'll see you next week.